there guys, Daniel here from 100% Chelsea for United People's TV to give you my tactical analysis of Chelsea going into the game tomorrow at Stamford Bridge in the Premier League. It's another massive game for Chelsea and I'm sure for Manchester United as well. And it's one that's very interesting considering the form of both teams recently. Manchester United recently have picked up. You had that brilliant win against Stoke on Wednesday. Played some more United-style football. I was definitely impressed with Martial, who I think can be a massive threat for United tomorrow at Stamford Bridge. And I feel that that's one position where Chelsea really need to focus on if we're going to try and stop United as well. You've got Wayne Rooney on his day, can be clinical. As well, you've got creative players like Juan Mata and Herrera and other players along with that, and a strong backline to go with it with a world-class keeper. So really, I feel tomorrow will be a tight game. I don't think it's going to be an open game of football. I feel that Van Gaal will come down to the bridge. I think he'll look to try and stay solid and stop our players making a difference. You know, Cesc Fabregas, Diego Costa have looked back to sort of where they were last season as well. Eden Hazard, if he starts, I feel could be a massive part in this game. So looking at Chelsea's team, that's kind of what I'm going to do. I'm going to analyse the starting lineup I feel Chelsea should play, and then just discuss where I think we can exploit United, and also where I feel Chelsea can stop United's main threats. Starting off in goal with Chelsea's basically number one, even though he's 13, Thibaut Courtois, for me, one of the best goalkeepers in Europe. He's kind of had a difficult season. He's been out with injury. He was out for about three months, I think it was, near the start of the season, and Begovic had to come in and take his place. I feel Thibaut Courtois is still young, still learning, but still on his day can be a world-class keeper. And if you look at it, the last 2 games, he's kept clean sheets, so I think that's a positive. So I still feel he's the keeper for Chelsea. The back four pretty much for me doesn't change that much for Chelsea. We did change it a little bit in the FA Cup game against MK Dons, but really it's about 1 or 2 players. I think Ivanovic will start at right back. Yeah, he's had his problems this season, but it's still Chelsea great, basically. With the help of maybe Willian, he still can be good for Chelsea in defence. The centre-back partnership for me has to be Kurt Zouma and John Terry. Both have kept clean sheets as well as a centre-back pairing in their last 2 games. And for me, Kurt Zouma is developing each week into one of the best centre-backs in the league as well. We know about John Terry, the contract situation. I'm sure that will be a heated thing for Chelsea fans. But as well, captain, the legend, I just think on his day still has a lot more to give. And as well, I thought he played really well in the game at Old Trafford. I think he stopped Wayne Rooney, who seemed to have a good game that day. Left back's got to be Cesar Azpilicueta. He's pretty much Mr. Reliable, or as Chelsea fans like to call him, Dave, just to make things a little bit easier. So we refer to him as Dave. And for me, as Gary Neville, one of your own, said, probably one of the best defenders in this league. Now, this season, you can't really say that, but still, I think for a lot of Chelsea fans watching him, he's still a very consistent player and one that definitely has good enough pace, is good enough reliably, defensively knows what he's doing, and yeah, for me, has to be in the team. Now, the 2 in front of the back 4, usually recently we've gone for Matic and Mikel. That's what I thought was going to happen in this game. Now, I personally would love to see Ruben Loftus-Cheek start. Yes, our up-and-coming youngster. Now, Chelsea have a thing where we barely play any youngsters. I mean, it's one of my biggest pet peeves or frustrations currently with Chelsea, is that we don't bring through enough youth. That's one of the biggest things I respect about Manchester United, is they have this philosophy within bringing through youth. You've got players like Borthwick Jackson, for instance, and Jesse Lingard, who've been coming through your team recently, and I'd like to see Chelsea kind of implement that a bit more. Loftus-Cheek eventually has got to get a big game. You know, he has to start in one of these games, and I feel tomorrow he can kind of be an unknown quantity for United. I think he can start. He's a box-to-box midfielder. He tries hard. Also, he's got the technical and physical ability, I feel, to deal with a game like this. So I'd love to see him start. Next to him for me is going to be John Obi Mikel. Was kind of taking the place of Nemanja Matic. Is a favourite under Hiddink, and a lot of Chelsea fans thought he was just running down his contract. He was never going to get in the first team. But amazingly, since Hiddink's come in, he's looked the player that we thought he was. You know, on his day, still for me can be great for Chelsea to do a job, and really has allowed players like Cesc Fabregas to kind of come back into form recently. So for me, alongside Ruben Loftus-Cheek, has to be John Obi Mikel. The 3 behind the striker for me, sure, you've got a player like Darren Oscar who scored a hat-trick, albeit against the Championship side in MK Dons, and has sort of come into the first team and played well since Mourinho's left. But for me, the 3 behind the striker, out on the right wing, our player of the season probably, Willian, one of the most consistent players at the club with his free kicks, also with his defensive work. And this is where I feel that he can do the most sort of damage in a way for United, is stopping Martial. I think if he can cover up with Ivanovic and really help out Ivanovic, along with, of course, you've got the defensive players within there. I feel he's going to be key in stopping Martial, Martial getting one-on-one with Ivanovic, because we saw at Old Trafford when that happens, Martial, with the qualities he has, along with, I think he hit the post at Old Trafford, if I remember rightly, kind of kept on cutting in from that left side. And I feel if he starts there tomorrow, we really have to stop that threat, because he'll just be able to cut Ivanovic open all day. Number 10 for me has got to be Cesc Fabregas. He's come back into form recently. He looks like the player, sort of back to where he was last season, not fully back to where he was last season, but he looks a lot more freer in that number 10 role. He completely dominated the Emirates when he went there. He's now passing the ball a lot more freely. He's getting that position because he doesn't have as much defensive responsibility. He actually is making some good challenges, defensive challenges as well. So he seems to be playing a lot more freely, a lot more confidently, which of course has helped his relationship with Diego Costa, which I'll come on to. But for me, Cesc Fabregas creatively has to start in that number 10 position. In the left wing is probably the man who's come under the most stick at Chelsea, probably most in any last season's player of the year, Eden Hazard. For me, this is the guy that can change this game. And we've heard the stories recently about him coming out and saying that he texted Jose Mourinho to apologise for what happened earlier on in the season. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. And for me, that doesn't really matter. For me, what matters is what can Eden Hazard do on the pitch. Because we know, as United fans know, with Eden Hazard, what he done last season at Stamford Bridge, he is a guy that can change the game like that. He's a guy that can get the ball, make things happen. On his day, he's one of the best. Fans are now singing his name. He came on against Watford, which I think was a mistake that he didn't start in that game. So I'd love to see him start against Manchester United. And as I feel it will be a tight game, he could be the difference maker and really step up to the plate, because he hasn't done it this season, quite frankly. And up front, none other than Diego Costa, pretty much, Mr. Controversy in a lot of sense. But for me, I kind of get annoyed when I see all these stories about him fighting all the people. He was involved in some silly antics against Watford, but it was nothing as bad as, say, what he's done previously. And I feel that Diego Costa, one thing he has done since Hiddink's come in, since pretty much the Watford game on Boxing Day, he's changed that mentality about him. He's not arguing with refs all the time. He's got down, he's playing football the way he can. And for me, technically, he's very underrated as a player. The work he does outside of the box as well, and of course, being clinical, the goals he scored recently. And I feel as a player, for the first time against Manchester United, because this is the one thing as well, in the 3 times since he's been at the club, he hasn't been able to play against Manchester United. He's either been injured or suspended. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Diego Costa up against that Manchester United defence, because his movement, for me, is brilliant on his day. He's a clinical finisher, and I feel he could be someone as well that could really, really make a massive impact tomorrow against Manchester United. So that has been my kind of tactical analysis for Chelsea tomorrow. I do feel we will play more of a structured kind of game, considering the fact that we went to Arsenal recently, putting a really, really good display there defensively and as well going forward. Sure, I think Watford was a little bit of a disappointment. I think there's a little bit of overreaction with that game. I thought Watford actually played quite well in that game. We probably should have taken our chances, and to be honest, in that second half there was only going to be one team winning that game, and it wasn't Watford. So I feel coming into this game, it's a massive game. Playing Manchester United is one of the biggest games of the season. It still is, no matter where the teams are. So for me, hopefully our big players can step up. As I say, United have got some talented players in as well. Juan Mata is a player who I really rate. You've got Wayne Rooney on his day, who's still a world-class player. And as well, Anthony Martial, who's the up-and-coming player. As well as the defensive unit, which I feel actually with United, you're about one player away from having a really, really good defence. I feel you've missed Luke Shaw as well, who I thought would have been a key threat for you this season. But it's going to be very interesting. It's a massive game, and hopefully, at least from my perspective, Chelsea can come through. But I do feel it will be a tight game. I think there's going to be one goal in it, and I'm just going to go because I'm Chelsea 1-0. But you guys, of course, will probably have a different opinion to mine. So let me know in the comments below your team lineups for Manchester United going into the game. How do you think Manchester United can exploit Chelsea? How do you think Chelsea could exploit Manchester United? And tell me your thoughts on everything I've said in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. You can go and check out the channel I'm on, 100% Chelsea, in the link below. Also, make sure to subscribe to United People's TV, a great channel. Sam is a great guy, and I'd like to thank him for letting me come on this channel and do this tactical preview for you. So thank you guys so much, and I'll see you again.
We've had deadline day, but now, can you hear this? Silence. Bit of transfer silence. No more rumours. We're back to business. Robbie, you say it the best. Go on.
Back to business.
No, you say it properly. Back to business. There we go. That's what I love. I can't say stuff like that in that tone. There you go. Now we're back to business.